Hello, I'm Anthony Molyneux, the creator of the Lord Ferrister series of stories. And the question I get asked the most is, how long have you been writing? Well, like most of you, all of my life really. Starting with the essay, or the composition as we used to call it, which required me to produce a half a page on subjects such as a day in the life of a postage stamp. And by making my writing as large as possible, and by leaving the largest possible gaps between words, I would sometimes manage to produce the half page required. Later on I began to think about it a little bit more, and instead of trying to get away with something, I really started to picture the area that I was supposed to be writing about. So, for example, if it was a day in the life of a postage stamp, instead of simply writing "I was taken out of a book, put onto a letter and posted in a box," I decided to think about the environment, the sort of book I was in, the sort of stamp I was. Was I a valuable stamp or otherwise? Was I more valuable than the other people, the other stamps, in the book? Who else was in the post office or the shop where the stamp was being sold? Where was I going to? What type of envelope was I on? What sort of information was inside the letter? What kind of a family was I going to? I then found that if I developed a mental picture like that, it was far easier to produce the required length of essay or composition, and in fact I was later on guilty of writing far too much, so a balance is required. What I recommend to any of you, especially young people watching this, is build your mental picture first, and then you'll be interested in what you're actually writing down on the page, or producing on the screen as the case may be. So, how did Lord Ferrister originate? Well, when my younger granddaughter was about 10, she and I would walk around the fields here with our dogs, and we were really very good at coming up with book ideas, and even book titles. What we were less good at was actually producing a book. So, without telling her, I wrote book 1 in the series, Lord Ferrister Finds a Circus, had a copy printed, and sent it to her in the post. I then found to my surprise that once Lord Ferrister and his wife and his friends existed in my head, their adventures simply had to be continued. I could not leave them as they were at the end of book 1. So we followed with book 2, Lord Ferrister Welcomes You, and book 3, Lord Ferrister Keeps His Word, where his loyalty is tested by the return of an old friend from Australia. And book 4, Lord Ferrister Has a Plan, is now underway. What kind of writing have I done before? Well, hundreds of reports, articles for magazines and journals, copy for promotional and technical literature, and latterly guides for business. But nothing has given me the satisfaction that writing the Lord Ferrister series has. Do Lord Ferrister Books preach to people? Certainly not. But they are based on the values that matter to all of us, young and old. Loyalty, friendship, and teamwork. Some people may say Lord Ferrister's world isn't real. Well, let's be honest. All of us, young and old, face reality every day. I see nothing wrong with escaping to the little village of Ferrister Major here in the English countryside. Some people may call my books old-fashioned. Well, if that means that they avoid confrontation and violence, and if at the heart of the stories lie friendship and teamwork and loyalty, values that matter to all of us, then I'm very happy for them to be called old-fashioned. I don't have a problem with that. We all need a break from reality sometime. And I see nothing wrong with Ferrister Major coming to life every time somebody somewhere in the world owns a Lord Ferrister book and takes the opportunity of spending time in this idyllic little part of the world. Year 7 from several local schools took part in a Lord Ferrister competition recently, and I was very fortunate to go in and talk to some of the pupils concerned. What impressed me about them is the ideas they had, how creative they were, the fact that they still liked to write stories of their own, and indeed to have stories read to them as well. I could see no difference, in spite of publicity to the contrary, between Y7 of my day and Y7 of today, except that these children seem to be brighter and more articulate and far more willing to participate in the projects that were offered to them. I was very impressed. Also, they told me that they still like a nice read. They don't want to be frightened. They don't particularly want to read about gnomes and goblins and witches and things that don't exist. They want to read something nice about the real world. That is what is offered through the Lord Ferrister Books. What's happening with the Lord Ferrister Books now? Well, there are second editions on the way of books 1, 2 and 3, and book 4 is about half written. I've also recorded audio versions of books 1 and 2, and these, along with Kindle versions, will soon be available through my good friends at Basics Matter. So I'm really excited about the situation we're in now, and I look forward to sharing progress with you as the opportunity allows. Goodbye.